Hey guys, what is going on? My name is Addison396. Thank you very much for checking out this video. Today, we've actually got my first ever podcast. I know, crazy, right? Who'd think I'd ever do a podcast? But I've been wanting to do one for a while. I contacted the guy who I'm interviewing today on Twitter, and I said, do you want to do a quick interview? I see you've got loads of info from Gamescom, and you know, well, I don't want to give it away who I'm interviewing, but I asked for a little short interview. Thought it was going to be about 15 minutes in my head, something like that, and it actually turned out to be like an hour and a half. So I thought I'd leave it as a well, not unedited, but I've left all the bits in that I was going to sort of get rid of because I thought they were less interesting, because I think they make quite a good podcast actually. So I don't know, I'm not too sure. Should I have done this as a podcast? Should I have done this as a series where I split it up into 10 little videos, but that, like, I don't know, 15 minutes long each? Let me know in the comments below. Sit back, enjoy the Battlefield 3 gameplay, or switch over to, you know, something else. Keep it on in the background. After all, it is a podcast, isn't it? Anyway, so, but let me know what you think. I appreciate your time watching, and well, let's get straight into it. What we've got is a very special interview with a very special guy, and he is known as PI3KY, even though we're going to call him Pi during this interview. Is that right?
Yeah.
Brilliant. So you sort of branded yourself as PI3KY, but you like to be called Pi or known as Pi. I see that's on your Twitter. Is that right?
Yeah. I got PI3KY from a few British friends after my name was Pi King, and they just started calling me, and it just started catching on.
Where did Pi King come from originally?
I had the original Pi King on Xbox, and then for some stupid reason, I created another account called Pi King is Back, and I put the gold membership on that, and I didn't have any more money.
Okay, right. So that's where it sort of originated from, and then evolved into PI3KY and then Pi.
Yeah.
Cool. So just to give the people a bit of background information about yourself, I sort of looked you up. I hope you don't mind. It's not too stuffy. But I see that you've written for mp1st.com, Doom49's site. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, by the way. And also was it Sask Milita?
Sask Militia.
Militia. Okay, no worries. How was it writing for those sites?
It was pretty good. I had a pretty good relationship with Doom and the guys at MP1st. I mean, like, I wasn't close to any of them, but I talked to a few of the staff members there. Yeah. And then Sask Militia used to be the clan that I was in, and okay, that's where the whole journalism thing started for me.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I've been viewing some of your posts on Twitter over the last couple of days or so, and obviously I've checked you out on Battlefieldos, which is where you recently started writing for. So how is it going over at Battlefieldos, and how did you land that position as a staff writer?
Battlefieldos all started about 3 months ago. I'd finally registered on the site after looking at the news for at least 6 months.
Yeah.
And I was looking to become a staff writer, a news writer, and I contacted Josh, who owns Battlefieldos, and at the time he didn't need anyone. Mm-hmm. So that kind of went away. But then later on, I think about a week ago,
yeah,
was during Gamescom, and Josh wanted another news writer. Mm-hmm. So I contacted him, and he said, I'd be put on a trial, and that, maybe over the course I'd be picked up or I'd be dropped.
Yeah.
And I wrote, I think, 2 articles that got me on, and they received a lot of views and a lot of attention, and here I am now.
Well, congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm definitely jealous of your position. It'd be, well, I don't have the journalism skills that you probably have, but it'd be great to write for Battlefield. That's definitely something to put on your CV, so congratulations.
Thank you.
I hope you don't mind me asking, what were the 2 articles that you wrote that received, the positive reception that they did?
I think it was everything we know about Battlefield 4,
yeah,
and
that is an awesome post, by the way. I was going to link that in the description, because I've been looking at that post, and it's fantastic. So again, congratulations on that post. It's very detailed.
Thank you. And then I can't remember the other one. I can't pull it off, but recently I wrote an article about the blog post that they just made about the road to Battlefield 4, and it had a lot of details that I don't think they wanted us to know, or they were throwing us, bits and pieces of info.
Yeah.
And that received a lot of news.
Cool. So you've had quite a few articles recently then that have been very positively reviewed. That's good to hear.
Indeed.
Good. So do you want to just let people know like your forum username on Battlefieldos so they can find you and maybe look you up whilst they're having a listen?
Yeah, my name is Pikey. It's PI3KY. You can find me literally everywhere with that. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Battlelog, whatever.
So you've got your branding sorted out well.
Oh yeah.
Good. That's good. So the top pick for today's interview / dual con sort of thing is Battlefield 4. And just let people know like what your experience is, your sort of knowledge depth of Battlefield 4.
I definitely have analyzed every bit and piece of Battlefield footage from the official gameplay, from YouTubers and DICE themselves, to the leaked alpha footage and all that stuff. And I would say I'm like the guru of Battlefield 4.
Not too bad. So we can sort of just like ask you about any sort of subject, and you'll have some sort of information on Battlefield 4.
Except for the air vehicles, that they're like the one thing that is up in the air right now. Like, what are the what are the official jets called, and what are the helicopters in the game and all that kind of stuff. Like I mean I could tell you the general stuff, but I couldn't go into detail like any other things.
Yeah. Well, that's a shame because I personally love air vehicles. I've had over a day in like each of the jets at the moment. So, and I think after a few months of playing the game, like 3/4 of my time was in jets, and I like had to force myself to ground pound and improve my sort of gameplay like that. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of jets. So I'll definitely be looking forward to getting some information from you in the future about those. But we've got so we've got some topics that we discussed beforehand, and the first one I want to sort of cover is dynamic map elements. So we've seen things like the when Caspian border's been confirmed, we sort of expect the tower to fall down as a new dynamic map element, hopefully allowing us to maybe shoot out the cables that hold it. That would seem most sensible. We've seen the windmill breaking in Paracel Storm, and the battleship crashing into the land, crashing into a flag and then becoming the flag itself, and being able to control certain air vehicles or something like that. Maybe they're AI controlled. Have you got any sort of info just to clear that point up?
Yeah, the anti-air little station, like the C-ram on it, that is AI controlled, like it's automated. Right, and what you can do is if you control the flag, the AA will fire at any air vehicles in the vicinity, and if you spot them, it gives the C-ram a little more range. Okay,
right, I understand. So I've seen on Twitter that's quite controversial. Like a few people are getting.
Oh yeah, because a lot of people don't like an AI controlled weapon because they feel that it could either be underpowered or overpowered, and it may fire at anything in the vicinity, so it may focus on one jet, and then 3 seconds later it focuses on another jet or a helicopter.
So it's just flicking between them, not being too useful, or maybe too overpowered, just instantly like never missing, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they sort of work that out, right?
I got faith.
Yeah, well, I'm a bit too. I'd rather wait and see how they do it. I mean, I'd rather judge them after the first patch of it probably, because it's the same with like the AC-130 and things like that in Armored Kill. I mean, they probably weren't perfect compared to how they are now at least. So, but we've also seen in Siege of Shanghai the building falling. The bottom of it becomes a flag and dust covers the whole map. And then we've also seen very small things like fire extinguishers exploding and causing a distraction or smoke, or car alarms going off when people jump over the cars, bash into them, shutters on shops closing down. I've seen that in maybe a few gameplays. Somebody like trying to shoot through the front of a shop and then the shutters are closing down, blocking the view. Obviously we've seen the lifts in Siege of Shanghai, and I've seen some information somewhere, I can't recall where, but about power boxes. If you shoot in them out or disable them somehow, they turn off the lights in the building.
Right. So if you enter a building, if you shoot this power box, it'll shut the power completely down. You can use night vision scopes to take out any enemies, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I think that's going to bring the infrared night vision scopes back and make them a lot more powerful, or a lot more useful, because you see sort of special forces teams across the world. Sometimes they like attack at night and they've got the night vision goggles on and sort of Splinter Cell style sort of tactics. And I think they sort of reduced or buffed the night vision quite a lot in Battlefield 3, so I think it's nice to see that it'll be maybe becoming a bit more useful for Battlefield 4.
Yeah.
I sort of imagine oh sorry, carry on.
Not as useless as the current night vision scopes in Battlefield 3.
Yeah. I was thinking of like an interesting scenario where maybe you and a squad are at the top of one of these buildings and you maybe hear somebody coming in the bottom. You can maybe jump out the window and then shoot out the power and then maybe like cause chaos on you as you're holding up and they're having to like move through into your line of sight whilst you're stood still in the dark, that sort of thing. So
yeah.
I imagine it's going to be some really great gameplay. But do you want to talk about any of those other dynamic map elements? Any of the ones that we've mentioned so far, or that I mentioned so far?
I guess one of the things that I'm very interested in is how the extinguisher is going to turn out, because I want to know if you shoot it, is it going to fill the whole room with smoke, or is it just going to be like a very thick fog, really quick, and then it'll quickly decimate. Not decimate, but disappear. Yeah,
dissipate. Yeah. I was also wondering, because I was talking to my friend about this the other day, and I was giving an example where he just ran down a corridor and there was 3 people in front of him and he didn't know who to shoot for and ended up dying basically. And I was saying like, oh, Battlefield 4 there might be a fire extinguisher on the wall, and you can make that split-second decision to fire at that and cover them in smoke, and then he was like, well, is it foam or smoke, or is it how does it explode, or does it spurt out and then explode? So that's interesting to see how because they've got all those different choices to make, and it's interesting to see how they will implement it to try and see what they will, what sort of gameplay they're trying to encourage.
Sounds all good.
So, is there any of the larger, dynamic map elements that you are specifically interested in, or that you're excited to see, or that you think have got a good talking point on?
One of the things I'm interested in seeing is how they implement Operation Metro with the Levolution concept, because in the second Assault DLC pack, they have Operation Metro, Operation Firestorm, Caspian Border, and one of the Karkin maps. No one's really sure on what it is, but they think it's Gulf of Omen. And one of the things I'm interested in is how they're gonna, make Levolution possible on all those maps. And especially Operation Metro, because is there gonna be like a sign crossing version of the map of, above the subway, and you can bring down the ceiling and go up, and that's where another flag is, or is it going to be nothing? That's what I want to know.
Well, I did a video a few days ago talking about this just before it was confirmed. I think BF4talk.com had looked into some sound files, and one of them was called Paris Subway Station. So I sort of took a sort of gamble. I said it was about 70% sure that it was Metro, 30% sure it wasn't, and the 30% sure it wasn't was, I was thinking, maybe 15% sure out of that 30% that they were going to maybe just make another subway map, or maybe make it near the Eiffel Tower, that sort of thing. But then obviously they confirmed Metro. I was thinking maybe then combine those two ideas. So maybe the top of it is, you can see the Eiffel Tower. Maybe they move it a little bit closer, and then you could go all crazy and maybe fight underneath the Eiffel Tower. Or that would be pretty awesome. I think that's probably maybe next gen.
That'd be cool.
If they do extend the map on top, do you think they should have vehicles on them? And if so, which vehicles?
I definitely think that, like, in an Operation Metro kind of setting, that it should only be, like, light vehicles, not tanks, like LAVs maybe, and Jeeps.
Yeah.
Because it's just one of those maps where it's focused on only infantry, and having a tank and an LAV or, freaking jets flying around, I think that's a little ridiculous.
Yeah, agreed. I agree. We sort of, do you expect, like, if they were to do that, sort of like a Sen crossing rush type vehicle setup, maybe one LAV and then
Yeah, they could pull a Battlefield 3 Alpha and put the LAV in there. I'd be happy with that.
I saw I remember seeing the footage of that, and I was thinking, because I came to Battlefield 3 6 months late. I just missed I've been a Battlefield series gamer way before I played them all, but I came to Battlefield 3 about 6 months late, and I only recently saw the footage of the LAV on Metro, and I was like, oh my god, that would be so awesome if I'd seen that or been able to do that. So that's where I sort of got the idea of, the missile comes down and explodes the hole in the ground, but then vehicles could go up around the side and then carry on fighting across. So yeah, I totally agree with you with the sort of light vehicles, sort of transport vehicles, that sort of thing. What do you think to a train crash wrecking through smashing through the underground station if they don't explore the top route?
I have not thought about these kind of things that you're posing. Wow, a train, that would be pretty insane and great. I think that'd be perfect. Maybe as a rush styled map, you would have maybe the train going, and the team has to, go through the trains or on top of the trains maybe to get to the MCOM, and then after, the MCOM is destroyed, the train crashes, and that's where the next MCOM is going to be. That'd be pretty awesome.
Oh, you've just given me an extra idea. Like, I don't know if you were sort of trying to say it there, but maybe once one of the MCOMs is destroyed underneath, the next MCOM station, maybe you have to, like, take a train up or something through a tunnel and then get off.
Oh,
That'd be pretty sick. And then maybe that's where the train crashes, and then the MCOM station is there. And then imagine it from the defender's point of view, where you see this train just, like, sort of coming down the tracks, like, twisting sideways and smashing cars down.
That'd be fantastic.
I think that'd be pretty awesome. So, I hope you don't mind. Are we okay to just go back to the different dynamic map elements and then discuss the other three maps, and then also when we talk about the the DLC packs?
All
right. So I was thinking, do you have any other info or ideas? Because I think if we look at the end of the Parasol Storm trailer, one of them, there's a China Rising advertisement very quickly after the image of Battlefield 4 pre-order now's come up, and most people click away. Then after that, there's some scenery, and it shows some sort of scenery in China Rising, and then there's a picture on the ground with an aeroplane coming in, with the shadow of an aeroplane just going across the ground. I was thinking maybe would they crash an aeroplane into the map and do something like that?
See, a few months ago, one of the famous kind of jet YouTubers and jet dogfighters had pointed out that in the China Rising art there was a bomber.
Okay.
And so I think that in China Rising they'll introduce the bomber as maybe that's what a key point
Right.
Maybe, and the levolution is, the bomber goes out throughout the round. If you destroy the bomber while it's, passing through, then it crashes maybe.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see because a lot of the maps, they either look new or they look kind of like an expansion of old Battlefield 2 maps.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, some of them, yeah, they are very reminiscent of Battlefield 2, and that's what I kind of like about them, because it's, if you imagine, like, it's just sort of like, I don't know, it sort of like gives you a good feeling inside. I don't know, it's sort of
the nostalgia.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Nostalgic, yeah. And it's, I don't know, like when you're obviously playing on maps, there must have been a point where you've like reached the outer bounds and like wondered, what it'd be like, or what you might add on to the side of the map, or how you might sort of do maps differently as you're going through them. So it's sort of interesting to see their different takes, because they must have been thinking about these things when they were, building Battlefield 2 and 3.
Oh yeah.
So it's interesting to see which ones have made it through to Battlefield 4. So do you think what do you think? Okay, I'll pose two questions to you, and then you can answer whichever one you want to answer, first, whichever one you're most excited for. So the first question is, what do you think we're likely to see? So something that we haven't been hinted at yet, but what could you expect from the engine, the new Frostbite 3 engine? What other dynamic map elements do you expect, especially with the descriptions of the maps that we have? What sort of things would you predict to see?
Definitely a lot of rumors and kind of ideas that are going around right now is a dam being broken, and I think that would be really cool because we have seen like a snippet of it in the premium video.
Okay, right.
But with the recent leak of like a map, I think it is.
Right.
Like the concepts of commander mode, the map looks like it has a dam, and that's what I want to know is, can you break the dam down, and is it going to flood the whole area, or is it not going to be levolutionized, and what is? Because I think flooding a dam, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, to change the whole map and allow boats access and stuff.
Yeah, imagine all that water just rushing down and making, maybe making a lot of the flag points, islands instead of, places you could walk to.
Oh, that would be so cool.
And I guess the other last little thing that I really like is closing doors on people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we saw that in the premium video, and just I could just imagine it either trolling someone or getting a lot of guys who are either camping inside little train cars, just closing the door, throwing a grenade or something, and they get that multi-kill.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. We saw it in the trailer, didn't we, where somebody jumps inside one and then he like lobs a grenade and closes the door, and he's just like screaming grenade and then gets blown up. So and I want to sort of I'll leave it for a little bit now, but there's I wanted to sort of make a point about maybe Caspian border with the dam. I've got a good idea for that, so we'll come back to that. But sorry, I said I was going to ask you two questions at once, and I only asked you one, didn't I? I took very long explaining it. But the second question I wanted to ask is, what would you like to see? What sort of dynamic map elements, even if you think they're crazy impossible, like my sort of Eiffel Tower. I don't think they would do it, and I don't know if they could this generation, but I would love to see like Metro expanding up to the Eiffel Tower, and then maybe the Eiffel Tower falling down, that sort of thing. So what would you love to see if you could?
Definitely something that I would like to see is having vehicles, maybe crash into the ground. Like air vehicles crash into the ground, but instead of them, disappearing and stuff like that, they'll stay there and maybe affect the map. So, like, let's say you were flying in the vicinity of an area, and if you get blown up in that area, then the chopper will crash, in 3 locations.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's a good idea.
it'll kind of be like a Black Hawk Down sort of thing.
When you're sort of losing control, you sort of can't steer anime and
yeah, and it twirls kind of like a Bad Company 2 helicopters. I think that'd be cool because then you would really feel immersed, instead of having vehicles, disappear and the shards laying there, you'd still have a helicopter, over on C Flag, burning, I think that would be really cool, but I doubt they could do that because the amount of vehicles that would be destroyed in 64-man player games, that'd be crazy.
Especially with instant respawn on.
Oh yeah, the lag.
Oh God. And how would you think that they would get around people sitting on the side trying to repair the vehicles? Would it maybe like sort of give you more control and slide you out of that like spin if you were able to repair your vehicle in time, or would you just get rid of sitting on the side repairing vehicles?
I think like any good chopper pilot, I consider myself a decent one. I think having been disabled by someone, they feel good about taking you down, and then you go to land, you repair, and you're back up, and they're out of either Stinger ammo or Igla ammo.
Yeah.
So they can't really take you down anymore, and you're still raping. And I don't think choppers are overpowered, but I think if you get disabled, that you should have at least something like 10 seconds to put it down and repair it. But after those 10 seconds, it's you're out, you're done.
Yeah. No, it sounds good. I can imagine them maybe doing something like that for hardcore mode, and maybe not for core, but that sort of sounds like it would fit perfectly for hardcore. That's a really good idea. So I hope you don't mind. Are we okay to just very quickly talk about some of the things that we might expect with dynamic map elements from things like... I'm going to make an edit there and edit that question out. I'll just carry on if that's okay. So Pi, are we okay to move on and talk about the sort of DLCs that we expect to come from Battlefield 4?
Go right ahead.
Brilliant. So I'll just list them, and then if you want to let me know which one you're most excited about, we'll talk about that and then work our way through. So, and obviously you've been the Battlefield expert here. You correct me if I'm wrong on any of my information. So, China Rising, fighting across a vast and majestic Chinese mainland in 4 new maps with sort of new vehicles and the sort of thing that comes with new maps, like achievements and assignments. That's the word I was looking for. We've got Second Assault, which brings back 4 of our sort of favourite maps from Battlefield 3 into Battlefield 4, redesigned, including Caspian Border, Operation Metro, Operation Firestorm, and rumoured, like you said, Pi, to be Gulf of Oman. Naval Strike, which is dynamic ocean combat on maps. I can't read my own writing here. Okay, there we go. Dynamic ocean combat on maps taking place in sea. We've seen like the huge waves and things like that before, so that's Naval Strike. Dragon's Teeth, which is war-torn cities locked down by the PLA, the People Liberation Army. So I'm guessing that's in Iran. You'll probably have some more info on that. And then the final one is Final Stand, which is the description I've seen is conclusion of the war of 2020, the year 2020. So which one do you want to explore first, Pi?
I think Dragon's Teeth should be the first one.
Cool. So what makes you excited about that one?
Well, when I first heard Dragon's Teeth, a lot of the guys at Battlefield were thinking, "Oh God, it's Battlefield with Skyrim."
Okay.
Skyrim and dragons. But as they released more information, it's about urban warfare.
Okay.
And that's, I got thinking, well, what if it is the famed American DLC? What if, instead of fighting on the Chinese mainland, or island hopping around, the Chinese have invaded, certain locations in the U.S. and the U.S. has to fight them back.
Yep, we've all like seen commentaries or discussions on websites where people are basically just, well, dreaming of this. It would be awesome to fight through, like famous cities as well. Imagine fighting through like Times Square or something like that.
Yeah.
What sort of cities or landmarks would you like to see? I mean, I know quite a bit of the US, but you've probably got some place I've not heard of. So make sure you give us a good description of what they would look like or how you would imagine them being able to play through.
Definitely the thoughts that I have for this All-American TLC come from a good friend and YouTuber called Mr. Pro Westy.
Oh yeah, I know Westy. He's a good dude. I like his.
Yeah, he had a video, and one of his maps was an Alaskan island, as in, it's a frozen over island, and kind of the dynamic destruction that you could have there would be, the ice breaking.
Oh yeah, I remember that video. Yeah, he was talking about being able to blow ice through and vehicles falling down it and that sort of stuff.
And I think that'd be really cool because it's Alaska, it's the snow. There's so many ways to add the dynamic destruction and stuff like that. I think that'd be a really cool map. And then I guess the other one would be New York, as in like Manhattan. You could like fight through the cities or the buildings and stuff like that. I think that'd be really neat.
Yeah, I imagine, I don't know, for some reason I imagine the one in the inner city to be a nighttime map, and I imagine like the big bright lights of the building. Would you prefer to see more nighttime maps in Battlefield 4, or do you think
Oh yeah, I would totally want the 9-day cycles that everyone has been begging for.
Yeah.
And it would be a really interesting take on a lot of the maps because, there are some maps where it's just going to be, default night, but, what if there was a sun? What would it look like during the daytime? Or a lot of the maps are, are during the day. What would they look like, during the night? Yeah. I think, adding on to the New York idea, if it was fought in Times Square during the night, you'd have all those billboards flashing, you'd go up in the building, shoot the power out. Yeah. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome. Like the big like Coca-Cola sign or something like that. You could RPG it and it falls down onto people below or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that'd be pretty cool. So that's Dragon's Teeth. So we sort of think that's going to be more urban fighting. If it isn't in the USA, where do you think it would be? Because I obviously thought Iran, but I didn't think about the USA thing, and I probably think it's likely to be that. Where else apart from Iran do you think they could do? Like, if they're going to do something that we just haven't heard of yet, where do you think they would pick, or where would Battlefield?
I would definitely consider something in the South Americas.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking, because in the premium video, there was a little snippet of like a satellite, and somebody pointed out on Reddit that, that satellite is in, I think, either Brazil or Puerto Rico or something.
Okay, right.
And I know that's totally far away and abstract from the U.S. or China or Russia or Iran, but I think with that they could totally have something in the South Americas, because I think during war that'd be a great place to go, because you're only a few hundred miles from the U.S.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea actually, because, and I think it's got some sort of strength to it, because in Battlefield 3 we see a lot of maps that are actually real places, like Mount Davamand is actually a real mountain. The Grand Bazaar, it's actually the Grand Bazaar from Istanbul in Turkey. We see all these sort of famous places that are actually real places, and I think that's if they've taken the satellite and actually shown that it's shown a snippet of it and it's actually a proper satellite that people have been able to recognise, and I think that sort of indicates the sort of what am I trying to say, sort of same ethos of creating real life objects in Battlefield, or real life places in Battlefield,
making you feel immersed in it, you know, because you're in real world places, not, you know, in some random place that doesn't exist and it's just there because it's there.
Yeah. I don't know if you know too much about this, but and I might be wrong here. I've got a bit of doubt about this, but I think places like the abandoned flats are actually real places. I think if you sort of Google image like the abandoned flats or Mount Davamand and put like in real life or something like that after them.
Yeah, you can definitely see them.
Yeah, that's what I like about quite a lot of the Battlefield maps, because I didn't know that like Mount Davamand was a real place until I was looking for a thumbnail image, and then I typed in Davamand Peak and it came up with Mount Davamand, and I was like, oh my god, that's actually like...
Yes, it's so cool.
Yeah. So that's Dragon's Teeth. What's the next most interesting one for you?
Naval Strike. Naval Strike has to be something that just fills me with a lot of questions, and it's got that mystery to it, because when you think Naval Strike, you think of something like, you know, okay, it's just going to be, you know, a bunch of islands, and you're going to be able to control, you know, the big carriers, the battleships and stuff like that. And that makes me really wonder, what kind of evolution are you going to incorporate in that? You know, it shouldn't be the same as, you know, Paracel Storm, where the battleship, you know, runs aground onto the beach.
Yeah.
But what could you do? That's what I want to know. And the other thing is that I want to know if you can pilot submarines.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, totally agreed. That would be awesome if they implement submarines.
That'd be fantastic. I would love it. Just love it.
A whole new sort of skill tree that's totally got its own gadgets and...
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome. It'd allow you to have a lot more time as well to put into Battlefield, into something new. And I think we'd see a lot of people sort of figuring out how to perfect it and all the different tactics that you could use with a submarine versus submarines or versus other vehicles and things like that. I was thinking for the Naval Strike, if you imagine, I don't know, maybe they could bring back some sort of version of Titan mode, but with two huge battleships, maybe where like they're player controlled by maybe the commander or something like that. He can set them on a route or something. And maybe jets could take off from them or something like that. So maybe like a combined conquest with air superiority sort of thing. Combined with Titan mode.
Something that I caught a snippet of in the stream was Patrick Bach said that it would be possible for DICE to do it, and apparently they're still coming up with concepts for the DLCs, but he said that DICE could definitely implement a Titan mode in that, you know, it would totally be doable, and that's what gets me, is that he's saying that it's totally possible, and that makes me wonder, are they actually thinking about it in Naval Strike? You know, because I think bringing back something like that, you know, and, you know, taking it from Battlefield 2142 and putting it in Battlefield 4, making it past modern, if you will, I think that'd be fantastic, because it takes a different approach to that rush feel. I mean, we have obliteration, you know, but that's one of those modes where you have the bomb, you're going to be targeted if you have the bomb, and, you know, it may frustrate a lot of people, but then you have, you know, Titan mode in this, and that would put another feel onto it, you know. People would think, you know, you have more variety in the game, you know, than ever before.
I think that's something that's key as well, what they're sort of focusing on, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong again, but I think that they're going to save Capture the Flag until after it's after the game's been released as a DLC. Is that right?
I heard that Capture the Flag might be a standard game mode.
Okay.
So they might include it, but they haven't, like, they haven't really confirmed it, but that's what I've heard through people who've been at Gamescom and stuff like that.
Okay, no worries. I've probably got my information wrong then. I trust your information a lot better than mine. But I imagine like they were talking about new content each week and stuff like that. And obviously, it's not going to be like new weapons or things like that. But I think I could imagine for maybe the start of each month, maybe introducing new game modes and old game modes that we currently have. Maybe things like tank superiority again as maybe not a default game mode, but introducing it at the start of each month or something like that. And I think that would be a great way of keeping the game fresh as it goes along.
Oh yeah, totally. Bring back game modes that that maybe the minority players really love.
Yeah.
I know a couple of guys who are just religiously playing tank superiority.
Yeah.
And that brings me to something that's been on my mind for Naval Strike is there going to be naval superiority? That's what I want to know.
That would be awesome. Very interesting. So how would you imagine that sort of like two sort of maybe islands or two battleships where the armored boats would take off from, and then have a flag in the middle, sort of like
something. It'd be one of those maps where they could throw an excuse for putting Wake Island back into the game.
Yeah.
It'd have the battleships and all that. Have guys fight for 1 point maybe, or maybe the point is a sunken carrier, and it's the Chinese or the Russians based in the U.S. and they're trying to cap that 1 point because it has maybe strategic value to it.
Yeah, that's cool. And then they have to sort of use the boats to get to it, and that gives the idea of the naval superiority. Yeah, I think that would work really well. That's a really good idea, actually, and sort of fits with the sort of structure that we've seen of tank superiority and air superiority. So, good ideas. Is there anything else you want to talk about Naval Strike, or do you want to move on to the next DLC?
To Final Stand is where we shall go.
Okay, Final Stand onwards. So the conclusion of the War of 2020 is the only information that I've looked up so far. So any information that you have is very much appreciated.
Nope.
So it's all speculation.
Yeah, they've successfully kept Final Stand in the dark.
Okay. Wow.
I don't have any information on it, but I have a kind of concept for it. Maybe it's one of those, DLCs where it takes it to the heart, of the homeland. Maybe instead of, like in China Rising, facing off in the majestic, jungles and, farmlands of China, it's,
the inner cities, the palaces.
Yeah, it's like, it's right in the heart, so it's a lot of urban warfare, but it's a lot of destruction, revolution, and then you could totally incorporate heavy vehicles, light vehicles, the jets, helicopters, whatever.
Yeah. To fly in between the buildings like we've seen on like Siege of Shanghai and provide the ground assault, and again you'd be able to bring back the evolution of sort of destructible bridges or those bollards that we've seen come up that have been able to shut down a bridge and things like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that sounds that's a really good idea. I was sort of thinking, and this has no sort of evidence whatsoever, so it's totally just a random thought. I was thinking with the Easter egg that we saw in Operation Riverside of the 2142, 2143 flying Easter egg vehicle. I don't know if
the drone.
Yeah, the drone. I was thinking maybe we were going to see some sort of hint that the new Battlefield futuristic Battlefield game is coming soon, either next or one after, and maybe sort of see some sort of hint at that. So maybe see a factory where they're discussing ideas for these drones or something like that, or just sort of hinting at the future of what's to come from.
Yeah, maybe. Like when I think of that, I think maybe they'll take the 2142 maps and they'll make it into what they would look like, in a modern era, like right now, instead of making them futuristic. Like,
yeah, that would be cool. That'd be so cool.
The factories, the maps, things like that. Like, what would it look like now instead of then?
That's so cool. So it's like sort of prequel map.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that. So anything else to talk about with Final Stand?
Nope, I ain't got no information.
No worries, that's good. Your ideas are great anyway, so don't worry about info. Your ideas are very good. So I think the last one, have we talked about China Rising yet? We've got Second Assault and China Rising, I think, to go. Or have we talked about China Rising?
China Rising, I think taken back from what we said, about 10 minutes ago or something like that, is that it's going to be, farmlands and, caves and just kind of like the jungle feeling of China instead of like an urban environment or like, somewhere that would be more recognizable. Because when I see, when I looked over the China Rising footage, I saw a little village in there. So it kind of makes me feel like, maybe it'll have the jungle feel of Vietnam.
Okay, like sort of less industrial version of fishing in Baku, sort of, but in a multiplayer map sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Like a fishing village sort of thing. I think that'd be good, because then you could incorporate, like, if you think about like a fishing village, there's always good ideas for how they could get the naval warfare in each map, because I think that's something that I think they'll do quite a few maps. Well, not quite a few. I think they'll probably do like a few maps like we've. I think they'll do quite a few maps like we've seen in Battlefield 3, where they haven't included sort of air vehicles and things like that. LAVs or like things like Metro, where there's no vehicles at all currently. So I think they won't have to try and work it into every single map, the naval warfare. But I think if they do things like fishing villages or things similar to those sort of structures, you'll have like I think we've seen in some trailer a boat like flying through a sort of water flood street. Is that right?
Right. I've seen that.
I can't remember where that's from. You probably have a better idea than me.
Definitely what was shown it was kind of like an urban environment, but it was flooded, and they had the rip boats going in, and they were just they were shooting everything, and they were trying to get away from the enemy, or they were trying to catch up to the enemy.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where it just completely changes what you thought of the map. You just it's there. So maybe in China Rising, I guess one of the things could be like, maybe a volcano erupting or something like that, or there's something way off from what everybody's thinking.
Yeah. So it's sort of like a really peaceful setting that you don't expect anything like really bad to happen, and then suddenly like there's this huge ground rumble, sort of incorporating the earthquake thing, and then huge lava starts coming down from a hillside.
Yeah, and like Siege of Shanghai, it should be kind of like the embers and the soot, floating around the map. So, it's really dusty and dark looking, and everything's just so red and vivid.
That would be awesome, with the sort of like deep red reflections of things, like people confusing them for laser sights and things like that. I think that'd be cool. So I think the final one to discuss is Second Assault. This is probably the one I'm most interested in, and the one I've got quite a few ideas for. So, do you want to talk about your ideas for which one are you most excited for returning?
Definitely not Metro. Hell no.
Metro.
Oh god, Metro.
I think Metro for me crashes at the end of every single game now of Rush, so I can't.
Well, I guess the reason Metro is so unpopular is because it is the clusterfuck map. It is that map where you go, and that's the only map a lot of the noobs either do horrible on or they do good on it. And it's a lot of points in those games.
Yeah, I see a lot of rotations where it's just Metro and no Char Canals, TDM and things like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I do want to add though, like, because I play mainly on 360, I usually don't have the high ticket count to deal with, the stupidly high ticket count for Metro.
Right.
So personally, I like the challenge of jumping in a game and seeing a 100 kernel on the other team ripping it up, and me being the guy who's probably balanced him out, and me being put on the other team and sort of encouraging my whole team to push through. And yeah, of course, there's so many times where it's like frustrated and your teammates are just doing nothing. But I like to jump in a game where I can see that they've not been able to push through, and then I've sort of pushed the balance, got in a squad and maybe got a beacon down or something like that, allowed them to push up, and then that's, we take the NCOMs very quickly, or it's like a huge battle back and forth, and then we finally push through on like 5 tickets. I do think it can be extremely frustrating at times, especially with the spawn trapping and spawn camping sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think there is a place for battlefield moments to happen in even like close quarters environments and sort of Metro environments. So
right.
I don't know if you agree, if you hate Metro, but
I don't hate Metro. It's just I think it's the one map that shouldn't come back in Battlefield 4, just because it's Metro, and not a lot of people who are vocal, in the community, they don't want Metro back, and maybe a lot of the players who don't say anything, maybe they want it back, but really, it's the one map that is the most popular because it's, hated so much, I think.
yeah.
I would prefer definitely Grand Bazaar or Sign Crossing over Metro any day.
Yeah, I think I would, especially like to see what they would do differently.
But
especially Sign with the river going through.
Yeah, but I could totally see why they did it, because it's a subway, because in Battlefield 4, they've revolutionized these Battlefield 3 maps, so I think in Battlefield 3, it would be, bring in the stealing of the subway down, and going up into kind of like a cityscape, kind of like a Sign Crossing mix,
Yeah, that'd be really interesting. You mean like through the roof of the Metro?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I think they could probably maybe bring back like another map that, you know how we sort of see certain structures from Battlefield that's sort of repeated in different places. I think if they were to cleverly place familiar buildings on the top layer of Metro in certain layouts, we would like maybe think, oh, this is maybe a hint back to one of those other maps, but then maybe the area behind it's totally different or something like that, to give it a bit of variety. So I think that'd be a good idea, maybe to soften the blow to Metro. Soften the blow that Metro is gonna cause to some people. But what's your favourite one that you can't wait to come back out of those? That you can't wait to see what they've done to it?
Definitely Golf Ball. I want to see how they revolutionize it, because it's one of those maps where you could totally destroy all the buildings and collapse, all this stuff, but it's still got that, wide open, deserty area. So I want to know, are they going to include the other half of the map that they didn't allow you to go in, like the huge city?
Yeah.
Or, and is that gonna, be a part of the map? And is there gonna be, floods there or something? Or, is the building in the Gulf of Oman gonna be finished?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking maybe the buildings are like fully redone. They're not shells anymore. They've got like working lifts in them. But I was thinking maybe like sort of a copy of the Siege of Shanghai thing, but with a totally different style and feel. So, with an Omani sort of style and feel to it.
Right.
Obviously, I think there's things that we can take for granted, like the bridges being destructible. And I think it'd be interesting if we saw maybe some sort of tidal wave or something like that, because... Or maybe not a tidal wave, maybe where they just change the map so it's like this is default, But there's that bit of water that goes around the back of the construction site where boats try and like jump across all the time. I don't know if you know where I mean on the back of boats.
Yeah, I know.
I think if they were to raise that water level just a little bit, that would be great, because then all the armoured boats could get round to the different sides. And I think with a tidal wave, that'd be interesting, because you could have it halfway through the map, and then the water level would slowly go back down again. I think that's something that would be maybe pretty interesting.
Or maybe a tsunami, you know? Maybe the start of the map is, you know, like a storm, and as you're playing it, you know, I mean, it would be a scripted kind of revolutionized event, but it would be pretty fantastic to see, you know, that whole highway part, you know, completely flooded, you know, the water level is up, you know, you're running through water the whole time.
Yeah, boats whizzing past you and stuff, maybe. If they're,
I think that'd be really cool.
Maybe the the RHIB boats? Maybe those with their little sort of little bottom bits, but maybe not the big armoured ones would be able to get through, so you could still run on it like you were saying. Maybe it's up to like your chest or something like that.
Right.
Allows the little speedy boats to get in, but not the armoured ones or something like that. I think that'd be quite interesting. What do you think to... Sorry, I sort of interrupted you when you were talking about the buildings. How would you sort of reimagine them?
No, just like you said.
Yeah, totally like...
Completely built.
Yeah. Cool, and yeah, I think that's really, really interesting for the other side of the map. I mean, I've had fun flying through those buildings before. There's some of them that we obviously can't get to because they're just too far away, but I think there's a crane there which could obviously fall down. That's another thing as well with Gulf of Oman. Maybe the crane's falling down as some sort of levolution thing.
Maybe.
But yeah, I think it'd be really interesting if you were to play Rush, for example, and advance up. Like, we don't have certain parts of the map on that we do get in Rush on Devman Peak that we get in Conquest. There's less parts of the map for Conquest. So I was thinking maybe for Gulf of Oman, if you were to play Rush, they extend it out quite a bit further than maybe it would be quite a large Conquest map if they were to do that. But it would work really well for Rush because Rush is very, very linear. And,
definitely.
Quite a long way. What would you like to see from the city? How do you imagine it being designed?
I guess because there is that part of the map where the city is like, you know, it's there but it's unavailable to go. I think maybe instead of it, you know, on fire and things like that, you know, maybe a part of it would be available, maybe just to expand the map a little. But Gulf of Oman is already freaking huge.
Yeah, agreed. So maybe just give you a little bit of the extra out of bounds bit, but not too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking, as well, like I was saying for Conquest, it'd be like quite a big map. So, yep, no, totally agreed with that. So we've got Operation Firestorm. I was thinking, obviously, all the buildings may be collapsible. The crane's falling down again. An obvious one is the oil refinery blowing up. And I was also thinking maybe a sandstorm could maybe like tear through the map.
See, that's what I was thinking. Maybe maybe instead of having the oil burning, in the background of the map, that you could blow up the oil refinery. That would be the levolution of the map.
Yep.
But then a sandstorm comes and it starts blinding you, and you gotta fight your way through all the sand, and there's low visibility, and the best thing to be using during that kind of I guess environment would be the infrared vision.
Yeah, it's a good way of implementing that, but without it being dark, so it gives it another useful use for it, doesn't it? And so do you imagine, for example, that'd be brilliant. So do you think it could maybe come in and then out of the map again? Because that map has jets on, for example. So how would it be sort of a tornado, or would it be like a huge one that comes across the whole map for maybe a few seconds, or maybe halfway through?
I think it'd be a whole kind of. I think it'd just be kind of like a sandstorm that would go out throughout the. Maybe you hit a certain point
in the round, and that's what, starts. Maybe you destroy the oil refinery, and that's what, starts it up.
Oh yeah.
But then, you'd have the jets above, but they wouldn't be able to see anything either.
Yeah.
So
maybe some extra gadgets or something for jets, some sort of vision or
right, like an infrared vision for it. I can see it.
Yeah, I think that's the sort of when you go into laser guided view for the jets, that sort of
the infrared vision.
Yeah, they could do some sort of thing where they just edit that slightly and create some sort of goggle view or something. I think that'd be so sick, sort of flying the transport heli through the middle of the sandstorm, trying to land on the buildings as they're like just inches away from you when they start to appear and stuff. You gotta fly really slow,
right.
Going down into the building. Maybe obviously like the buildings have no sand in them if you like go around the corner, and you could look to your left or something and see the sand like blowing in through the door, that sort of thing. I think that'd be really awesome. Yeah. What do you think to any other ideas for Firestorm? Is there any things that you would maybe like to see that you don't think they're gonna do, like some sort of Levolution idea or anything like that?
Maybe a part of the oil refinery, you have those big tankers off to, if you're looking at the U.S. side, it's like to the right.
Yeah.
Maybe those are destructible. Maybe they'll just blow up when you fire at them or something like that.
Yeah. Give them some sort of some better destructibility for those. Yeah, I think that's quite good. That's quite a good logical step. So that's quite interesting. And so finally, we've got Caspian border to move on to. So we've got obviously the tower falling down, shooting out the cables. I was thinking, so this is why I was thinking about a dam. So there's that sort of like I think it's, if you were to imagine the A flag and then the forest flag, there's that sort of huge ditch that runs along the side of them.
Yeah, where there's that river.
Yeah, where the river is, and it's got that sort of little mini dam thing that's sort of blocking the river, and it's got those pipes where the tanks can sort of cross the river as you're going along that ditch. I was thinking of maybe a dam at one side, or maybe both sides of it, and obviously it'd probably make more sense with one side. And then you could flood the map, maybe making some sort of island, or if the barricade between C and A is destroyed, obviously it would allow like boats to pass through, and then maybe as the dam sort of floods through, the map could maybe return to normal, leaving the boats sort of stranded in place or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. What I think they're gonna do is they're just gonna make it, basic. They're just gonna have, the radio tower fall and that be it. But the thing that I want to see is, if they truly want to make it, kind of like a player destructible, thing, and they want it to be, kind of dynamic, maybe if you hit it at certain points, that it'll fall in a different direction. So maybe, if you hit it on one side, it'll fall on D, or, it'll fall on C or A.
Oh yeah, that is such a good idea. You could do that tactfully then. Tactfully, couldn't you? Like your commander could say,
yeah, definitely.
This side hits this side. They're just about to take D, and then bang straight onto the gas station, petrol station there, and explode it up. Or that's such a good idea. I've got so many ideas now going through my head with that. Do you want to expand on that a bit more? That's a really good idea, actually.
That's about it. That's all I got. I don't think they'll do a lot with Caspian, because I don't think they want to change it to the point where it's just like, if players, go out and destroy this, then, it ruins, part of the fun that you get playing on Caspian.
Okay, yeah, I understand.
I don't think they'll do a lot with it, but I do think the dam idea is pretty good, because if it floods the map for a few seconds and or for like a few minutes, and you have those boats,
could definitely deal some good damage. In the tanks, they wouldn't be useful anymore because they'd be flooded. So you'd have to resort in a different kind of approach to winning the round.
I think that's what they're wanting as well with the sort of dynamic map elements. We've seen the dust being created and that sort of thing, and they really want to make them change the way that the map's played after a certain point.
Yeah.
So do you think maybe the tower will... Well, obviously it would be player controlled. That would be the best option. If it is player controlled, how it falls and when it drops, do you think if nobody destroys it, it will drop? And if so, do you think it will, as what you were just saying then, do you think it will fall earlier on because that will give it, the map a big change maybe? Do you think they'll keep it towards the lower tickets and stuff?
Maybe if no one destroys it, in those 1 in a million chances, I think it might pull a classic, Battlefield 3 where 10 tickets left, it falls over or something. Yeah. It falls on something, maybe where the most people are on the map. So unfortunately, those people get to die by bad luck. It's in that vicinity.
That's quite good, like a punishment for not playing with the dynamic element. I'll just fall on where most of you are. Take this.
Oh, yeah.
You should have thought about me. Bang. Yeah, that's a good idea. I like how you're sort of thinking of ways that the new Frostbite engine can be utilised, and that's really a good idea. Like it falling on where the most people are. So yeah, that's a really good idea. I've said that so many times today. You've got so many good ideas, Pi.
I tried.
So any ideas of, I know you were talking about maybe the dam flooding or something like that, but is there anything else you want to add for Caspian Border of your own ideas?
Nope, I've ran out.
So where can people find you, Pi, if they want to check out your content, check out your posts, do you have a blog or a Twitter or anything like that?
You can definitely find me on Twitter at Pikey, which is PI3KY, and that is where you can find me literally everywhere except for the PlayStation Network, because God knows who took my name. Just not believe that. You can find me on Xbox, Battlefieldo, Twitter, Battlelog, that same name. That's where I am in the world. I completely branded on most of the important sites that I use.
Okay, and on YouTube, do you have a user on there?
Yep, same name, but I don't have any videos currently, but I will have videos soon, and that is something that I'll be looking forward to.
Okay, so if you want to throw me a link to your channel, I can put that in the description. People can check that out, subscribe, and hopefully get you, well, I don't know how many subs you have at the moment, but hopefully get you a good audience for when your first video pops up.
Yep, hold on. Basically, that's the link to everything.
Brilliant. So it will be youtube.com /user/Pikey?
Yep.
Okay, brilliant. So that's where people can find you on YouTube. What do you think you'll be posting? Are you looking forward to Battlefield 4? You want to post the start of that? Is that a bit hush-hush at the moment?
Something that I'm thinking about doing is machinimas and I guess general discussion about Battlefield 4. I mean, I like talking about Battlefield and I love it to death.
Yeah.
But something that I see a lot on YouTube right now with Battlefield YouTubers is, what could the game have, and all this stuff. And a part of me goes, well, you can either go against the wave, or you can, flow with it.
Yeah. Well, definitely stay strong and do what you want to do. I mean, I'm known for Battlefield montages, and I'm trying to do more commentaries, but I don't want to put out a commentary when it's just random information or just hardly any sort of facts, or I'm just struggling to make a commentary, so I'll just talk about something random. My commentaries, that I try and make them like a special sort of thing, so if you
totally.
Definitely don't go with the flow, and don't suffer your quality of your content for your
Oh,
for your
totally,
views.
totally.
And yeah, if you're wanting to do machinimas, definitely give me a shout when you're doing that, because that is what I'm looking forward to the most about Battlefield 4, probably myself. The sort of theatre cam mode, the battle cam.
Oh yeah, the spectator mode.
Yeah, that's the right term for it. I don't know if you know. Do you know if we will be able to look at that after game to record, like free cam views after the game's been played?
So kind of like a Call of Duty theater mode.
Yeah. Do you think that's what will happen, or do you think that's not looking likely?
What I have heard and what I've seen from, I think it was Lars Gustafsson, who is, I think, the general manager of DICE.
Yeah.
He said that battle recorder, or what that's the term for the theater mode people have, is that it won't launch at release.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
But
I think I remember that too.
But the way he worded it, he didn't deny it, but he didn't confirm it. But
Right.
he kind of said it was totally possible, and that we're maybe putting it into the game, maybe later on.
Yeah, as a sort of patch sort of thing.
Yeah, but as it stands, nope. You gotta record it in game during the round.
Damn. But you can use those sort of you can be a spectator and have the free cam view. Is that right, or is it going to be like, okay, brilliant. So there's going to be a battle, in-game battle. I've forgotten the word for it again. What's it called?
Spectator mode.
Spectator mode. There we go. Spectator mode. There'll be an in-game one, but there won't be a post-game sort of one. And well, you sort of.
It won't be a battle recorder.
Right.
Like a theater version mode.
Well, I definitely hope that comes, because that'll definitely help out with machinimas. I've got ideas for montages where I maybe record for a few hours, and then I have this amazing clip that I really want to record. I could then go post game in and just cut to all sorts of cinematic views of me on that clip. Switch between first person and then the free cam mode, sweeping in, and all sorts of different things. So I definitely hope they do implement that afterwards, after the game's launched.
I just can't believe they're not doing it now.
Yeah, I agree. It's, at least they're giving us spectator mode. So.
Oh yeah, totally.
I was wanting that to come in for Battlefield 3 for so long, but yeah, never happened. So.
Well, it did, but it was like a how do you say? It was a hack.
Okay, yeah, I get you.
Yeah, from Blue Entertainment, and a lot of the guys that I know and that I'm good friends with, like Mashed 8 and Grizzle, they used it, and I showed some other YouTubers it, and they were really surprised because it worked really well for something that was not built from DICE. And it was really interesting because you could use it, you could film with it. It captured Battlefield 3, but it wasn't DICE made.
Yeah. So it's sort of you could imagine it was made by somebody at DICE, but it just happened to be made by the fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen that on. I think it was Frankie on PC did some certain clips with it, and I like how he sort of used it in certain introductions to his gameplays. He would sort of sweep in.
Can I tell you something?
Sorry, what was that?
Can I tell you something?
Yep, go on.
That was all Mashed 8.
Was that Mashed 8?
I'm not even kidding you. He has literally perfected it, and he has so many of these clips with it that he uses for cinematic intros and stuff. The bigger YouTubers, the guys with 200,000 subs, and like Frankie, they've contacted him about it, and he's telling me in the TeamSpeak, he goes, yeah, I made all of those. It was really nice. It was pretty fantastic. Frankie was
just casually.
He was basically crying at how good they were. Dude, I was just laughing at it.
Oh my god, like just taking it really casually, just like, yeah, they thought it was fantastic. They figured
That was fine.
supposed to be happy, like, prank up PC, you know, guess what? Prank up PC, just ask for this, blah blah blah. Like, obviously, I'm not like a super fanboy, but for them to notice, you know, and to contact you, it was pretty good. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I would probably be a bit more excited. Well, not excited. I'm sure he's massively excited, but I like the way he was sort of talking about it there from what you were saying. That sounds cool. Well, I hope you don't mind, Pi, but I'm gonna have to get off. Are we okay to do some sort of like outro? I don't know if you wanna say goodbye to the people listening or something like that.
Nope. No outro. No outro for tonight.
No outro for tonight, so we're just gonna have a wild card and just cut it off. So there it is, guys, the first ever podcast that I've ever made, an interview with me and Pi from Battlefieldo. I really hoped you liked it. I just want to thank Pi first of all for being on the show, allowing me to interview him. He has some great knowledge and some great ideas, as I'm sure you'll agree. Make sure you do go and check out my description below. It'll have all of his links, all of his sort of contacts. If you just go onto any sort of website and type in /user /PI3KY in the way that he spells it, PI3KY, then you'll definitely be able to find him. So make sure you do go and check him out. Make sure you sub to his YouTube, so he has a nice audience and that, so we can show his first video too. And yeah, thank you very much for your time. I just want to finally thank you guys again for listening, especially you guys who have listened all the way to the end. I just want to know what you guys think now, basically. So let me know in the comments below. Do you want to see this format continue? Shall I do one of these every month or so? And or should I cut it down? Did it put you off? I'm guessing you guys who were here still at the end. This is sort of irrelevant to sort of say this to you guys, but how many guys do you think were put off seeing the hour 15-minute mark? So let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for your time. Take care, and I'll see you in my next video.